Welcome to Really Hype with Rich. I'm your host, Rich. Well, a while back, I posted a video on 5 80s films you probably never seen or just forgot about. Remember this post? Well, here's 5 more. The first one I picked is a comedy from 1988 called Young Einstein, written and directed and starring Yahoo Serious. Yes, Yahoo Serious is his real name, as young Albert Einstein, a Tasmanian who discovers how to split the beer atom to create bubbles. This film puts a young Albert Einstein in an alternate fantasy universe, and still manages to split the atom, fall in love with Madame Curie, and invent rock and roll. They even go as far as including Charles Darwin and Wilbur Wright in the storyline. I've only seen this once on video when I was about 11 years old with a bunch of friends, and I would admit for the time, when I was among the friends, I dug it. We all dug it. However, it hasn't aged very well, especially in the States here. Although I believe it won some sort of award, an Australian Film Award, Institute Award for Best Original Score, whatever. Let's move on, shall we? The next one is a cool one. It's a cult classic. Well, most of them are cult classics in the site. A 1986 paranormal sci-fi action fantasy film starring Charlie Sheen called The Wraith. This movie was good. This is my childhood. Again, I saw it at home with friends. That's what we did on Saturday afternoons. It came out on Channel 11, I think. And one evening we all sat and watched it. This was directed by Mike Marvin. It stars also Sherilyn Fenn, Nick Cassavetes, and Randy Quaid. This one is about a mysterious supernatural figure who returns from the dead to get revenge on a gang of street racers who murdered him. This is a hip, fun, cool sci-fi watch. A storyline with some violence and a lot of action. But the best thing about this film was a car. The futuristic spaceship-like car that the protagonist drives. All of my friends were crazy about this car. Really cool. We wanted it. The car was called the Dodge M4S, or the Turbo Interceptor. It was a concept car at the time. Only 4 prototypes were made, and replicas were used for the film, but they were destroyed after filming. Ironically, this car was originally used as a safety pace car for Indy racing. Of all the original prototypes, one is owned by comedian Jeff Dunham, which he sometimes displays in. But let's move on. The next one is a low-budget cult classic sci-fi comedy from 1984 called The Ice Pirates. It's about, well, pirates. Space pirates in a future where water is the most valuable commodity and they steal ice, which is used as currency. The film starred Robert Ulrich, Mary Crosby, and Angelica Houston, who were all probably in a heyday. I'm not too familiar with Crosby and Ulrich, but I'm familiar with Angelica Houston. When you think of this film, think of Star Wars meets Star Trek meets Dune meets Buck Rogers, but very cheesy, very 80s cheesy. You can't even put it with family-friendly ones like Krull or The Last Starfighter. Though it was indeed made for kids, it was something different. Next one, 1984's Johnny Dangerously. A comedy starring Michael Keaton, who I mentioned before, as Johnny Kelly, a good-hearted man who leads double life as a notorious gangster Johnny Dangerously to support his family, especially his brother, who becomes district attorney. It's a slapstick parody of gangster films. Many people would call this the opposite of Harlem Nights, I would say. With an all-star cast such as Joe Piscopo, Maureen Stapleton, Peter Boyle, Mary Lou Henner, Griffin Dunne, Dom DeLuise, and Danny DeVito. This is one of the films that people couldn't see Keaton playing Batman simply because up until 1988, one year before Batman, all of his films were merely comedies like this one. But we all know he did a good job. Probably the better job, but that's another video. Next is a sci-fi film that I forgot about. Enemy Mine, released in 1985, starring Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr. as human and alien soldiers who become stranded together on an inhospitable planet and must overcome their mutual distrust in order to cooperate and survive. Dennis Quaid is Johnny Quaid's brother, who I mentioned earlier. This is based off the book of the same name and directed by Wolfgang Peterson, a director of one of my childhood favorite movies, The Neverending Story, which I'll get to in a later post, promise. But the production was halted due to creative differences with the original director and producer, leading to Peterson taking control. And became a commercial flop. However, as of 2024, there was supposed to be a remake in development, and we should see how that is. Well, those are my picks. I want to thank you for your time. Stay tuned for another 5 soon. Maybe I'll drop some 90s. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a whatever or not. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week.
No more nodding.